Do you have a lot of equity in your rental property and are you wondering, should I sell it? Should I refinance it or should I keep it and do nothing and just sit on the money? That's what we're talking about in this episode. Welcome back to the channel. Tony Stephan here with my wife, Andrea Stephan. Together, we own 258 rental properties. We have bought properties, we have held properties, we have sold properties, and we've refinanced properties. We're here to help you with our experience and our knowledge as we have 258 rental properties, working towards the goal of 1,000 properties to help you in your journey. This is a question that comes up a lot because you're a real estate broker as well, the head broker at the Stephan Group Real Estate Brokerage. We get this a lot. People come in, I have a couple of rental properties or I have one deal. I want to get into something bigger or better. I have a lot of equity. I don't know what to do. So let's kind of break it down step by step. Let's talk about selling, refinancing, or keeping it and doing nothing at all and just holding the property. So let's talk about sell. What are some of the pros of when you sell a rental property? You walk away with a large sum of cash, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends what you want to do next with it. If you want to use it for another business venture, if you want to do it for another, I've had some people sell because they're ready to just like move on and they will take the taxable event. All depends what you're looking at.
Everything here, we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, and when to best utilize it, right? So you're right. You get a large sum of cash money. You can do whatever you want with cash money. You can go spend it on hookers and cocaine, right? No one's stopping you. No one's going to ask, what are you doing with the money? You can reinvest it into bigger properties. You can diversify a little bit. You can use it for funds in other business ventures. My journey, our success together has really been predicated on a formula of we invested in personal development first. Like when I first started my business at 26,
you got a mentor.
You got to go get a mentor and a coach. It wasn't hey, let's go buy real estate and buy 5 rental properties. It was, hey, hire a coach. Personal development. Your level of income will never exceed your level of personal development. So personal development first. To build a business that ended up making, millions of dollars, 8-figure business in 21 different countries. Then it was invest the money. So there's nothing wrong with maybe you inherited some rental properties and you want to, start a business. I would much rather own a high cash flow producing business than a rental property because that cash flow producing business can go buy you a ton of different rental properties. So I love that you said that. Something else I want to say is when is a good time to sell. If rents are capped or the area is declining, by selling now, you lock in your gains.
Right.
We've seen that. And that's kind of where we've looked at, we sold a 12-unit apartment. We kind of capped out the rents there. We paid $900,000 for it. We sold it for $1.395 million. We said, how much higher can this really go? It might go up 3% this year, but we took it in 12 months. So from $900,000 to $1.395 million, that's $500,000 in equity created. Then maybe next year, you're like, it might be worth 1.45, 1.43. Is it worth holding on to it with the risk of what if a roof collapses? What if all the tenants move out? We were able to lock in those gains and move on from it. So there's nothing wrong with doing that if you feel like I've maxed this out.
Right. And that one also too just didn't fit in our business plan anymore.
Right. Absolutely. So always be reevaluating your portfolio. The cons of selling, it's a taxable event like you alluded to. When you sell a rental property, this triggers the I, R, and the S to say, you made money, cool, let's take our cut from that. Unless you do a 1031 exchange.
Right.
So when we have sold, we had so much depreciation backed up, we never paid tax on it. But when you sell a rental property, you can avoid paying capital gains by putting it in what's called a 1031 exchange. I've done a ton of other videos on this that you can go watch and check out. 1031 exchange allows you to defer the taxes as you roll that gain into another property. A lot of your clients do that as well.
Yeah, a lot of my clients, where they're at is they're in single family trying to get into multifamily. So that's a huge one. So putting it in that 1031 account allows you to move into the next property without paying the taxes.
Real estate's the only vehicle you can sell, make a profit, go buy more real estate and not pay a gain. You can't do it with stocks. You're going to pay capital gains. You can't sell Bitcoin and go buy Ethereum and not pay capital gains, but real estate can. They incentivize you to stay in real estate. One of the negatives is you might struggle to replace it. So I might sell this, but I have a hard time because there's a timetable on that 1031 exchange, 6 months, right?
So you have 45 days to identify, but 6 months to close.
So I have to identify up to 3 replacement properties. And I have 6 months to close. What if I don't find anything? Or what if what I find is not as good as what I had, right? It's kind of like that game show. I'm in door number 1 here. There's door number 2 and door number 3. Is it better? Is it worse? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's one thing though, a lot of my clients, they talk to me about, and it's if you have to be constantly looking if you're going to be selling and going to a 1031. You will find find something that is better. If that's what your goal is, to find something better, you will find something in that time period, but you have to be diligently looking.
Yes.
It kind of sounds scary, 3 properties to identify,
Right.
but it really, again, if you're working with like a real estate professional and you're constantly looking yourself, I've never seen somebody who's putting effort into finding something not find something.
Love that and completely agree. It sounds daunting, but it's
Yeah.
really not. And this is why you should always be looking at real estate. If you're a real estate investor, you should always be looking at properties and what's on the market and working with an agent. We sold a single family investment property in Las Vegas, Nevada. We bought it for $540. 6 months later, we got offered $610 cash, 70 grand, no brainer, take it. Took that, we were always looking, and we took some of those funds and bought 16 units in DeWitt, Michigan. We paid $1.4 million for that 16 units. A year and a half later, it appraised for $2.07 million. We took $300,000 tax-free out of that. So we would say selling is best if the property has hit its peak value. And like you said, it no longer fits in your business plan. Like that 12 unit, it was so out of the way of all of our other properties, like geographically, just didn't fit in our business plan.
I think another thing too is to look at what major expenses are coming up.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah,
if
so-
those roofs are going to go in 5 years, do you want to pay it in 5 years?
Right. And that's when you start saying, okay, well, people are going to come back and say, I'm going to have to replace this. Anything in like a year time, or if it's already not working 100% properly, do you want to replace that? Or people are going to come back in concession. If you want to beat that, make sure you're aware of that, like beating that time frame of replacing those items yourself or having to take concessions for that. But if you don't want to replace those items yourself, then you want to be looking at selling.
That's a really good analysis. So if I'm going to have to make the repair or the capital expenditure within the next 1 to 2 years, you say sell now.
If you don't have the funds or you don't want to put the funds in to do that, yes.
Because then if let's say I invest 100 grand, now I need to achieve 100 grand more just to make the same return. So I love that. I would also say if you have a clear plan for reinvesting it, if you don't want to pay the capital gains, if you have like no plan to reinvest it, maybe it's not the best time to sell, or if the neighborhood, the area is declining, because you can change carpet, you can change paint, you can change the shrubs, you can change the signs outside. It's all multifamily, but you can change anything about the property but the location. So those are what to do, what to look for, when to sell. Let's talk about number 2, refinance, leverage equity without selling. This is our favorite. We love the BRRRR strategy. We love to buy a property in a good area that's undervalued, a multifamily property, be able to fix it up, improve it, right? Force the value up, refinance it, pull the money out, take that money and go do what?
Buy another property.
Buy another property. Repeat. That's the BRRRR strategy. So
But a lot of people ask you, they say, should I still refinance even though the rates are higher?
That's a good question. It all depends, right? I'd say that's maybe one of the cons that we'll talk about here. What are you going to do with the money, right? So let's say if my original debt is 3%, which we used to have some properties at 3%, we refinanced to 7%.
Right.
People were like, you guys are crazy. Why would you do that? Because I was going to take that. I think we did 3 properties and we walked away with $750,000. I took that $750,000. What did we do with it? We bought a 42 unit. Right? So was that worth it to me?
Right.
Well, it was, because I had a clear plan for the money. So back to what are you going to do with the money? Let's talk about the pros though. You're going to pull out cash tax-free because it's debt. So when you sell a property, you're creating a taxable event. You're creating a capital gain event. When you refinance a property, it is not a taxable event because debt is not taxed. If you don't understand this philosophy, you need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was one of the first books I read that kind of really opened up my mindset on this. And he said, the wealthy use debt to create wealth because debt is not taxable. So you're getting money from the bank. Barbara Corkin, the Shark Tank investor, you like her a lot. I like her a lot too. She said, I love multifamily and I never sell. Because what I do is I buy it, I let the value go up. I do a 5-year term. That means she has 5 years to hold it and refinance it. Every 5 years, I'm pulling money out of the deal. She says she's done that on some properties 7-8 times. Can you imagine that? Like we haven't owned something long enough yet for that. Our first 7-unit deal, we bought it for $660. Year later, appraised for $1 million. We put $132,000 down on it. Remember how much we walked away with on that refinance? $250,000. Because she's like, if it's not $1 million, I ain't paying attention. That was 2022. So now that 5 years on the original term is up in 2026.
Yep.
So we're going to get to do that again. But could you imagine owning a property and refinancing it and pulling money out 8 separate times?
Yeah, that's a lot.
And paying no tax on it. Again, that's an amazing thing. So you get to keep the property and you get the full appreciation. So you're pulling the money out on a refinance and you keep the property. You're not selling the property. You still benefit from the ongoing cash flow.
Right.
So even when you refinance, there has to be cash flow there, or else they won't let you refinance. Right. This is the preferred method. This is what we call the BRRRR method. Now, the negatives, the cons of this is your payment goes up, right? So when we went from a 3% payment to 7% payment, you saw it because you manage all our finances, the payment went up. Why were you okay with that though?
The bank's not going to lend that to you if you can't make your payments, because they factor in there the vacancy, they factor in there your expenses, your repairs, things like that. So they're not going to give you that amount and lend to you if it doesn't work.
You hit the nail on the head. It is like a new loan. They treat it as if you're buying the property for the first time.
Right.
So they're going to evaluate it. They're going to underwrite it. They're going to underwrite it with the new loan amount, with the new rents and the new mortgage payment. And they're going to ask you questions.
Right.
They're going to say, do you feel like this can keep going up? What if this backslides? So you're now opening up for the bank to go back in there and take a look at things. If your property's struggling, you're now going to kind of air your dirty laundry there. Right, with the bank. So that is one of those things. You also have to pay fees, loan fees, appraisal fees, commitment fees, and other costs, right? You might have to fix some things up to make it look really nice and clean for appraisals. I mean, we make sure our properties sparkle on an appraisal. So there are fees with this. Who would you say a refinance is best for? I'd say it's best for people who want to keep their assets, but build their portfolio.
Yeah, build their portfolio or use the funds to expand their business.
Expand their business. I would also say they do ask, what are you going to use the funds for?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Also, too, a refinance could be used if you have a major CapEx coming up.
Tell me about the first deal, what you did. So that first deal, remember, we refinanced it. It was 7 units, paid $660 for it. A year later, it's $1 million. Put $132,000 down because I was 20% back then. You could do that. $250,000. Did we take that money and go blow it at the crap tables in Las Vegas? You did work at the property with it.
Yeah, we had to do all new gutters, gutter guards on top. We had to paint, repair rotted wood. There's a barn on the property, so we had to fix rotted wood on the barn. And then
ended up being like, what, 20 grand of stuff?
Yeah, and then we had to redo all the front landscape as well.
So you take some of that money, you have this like large lump sum, you get to reinvest it back into the property, which is really amazing because then the tenants win. Right? You're not using like extra money on that. So I love that. You get to keep the property, cash flow as well. You get more appreciation. So like that deal we kept, it's appreciated.
Yeah.
Right now, it's probably worth 1.3, 1.4 million, right? So you get to keep that. I would say definitely do it if you have a plan of what to do with those funds. We were constantly taking the funds out. We've never like, let's go buy this like fancy watch or this like jewelry, or let's go take this like crazy trip. We've always said like, let's go to a nice dinner and enjoy, but then let's go reinvest this money. That's what's called compounding wealth. Compounding wealth is when you're taking money and utilizing it and building it over time. This is what's also called recycling money. You're taking the same money and you're redeploying it over and over and over again. We took that 250,000 from that 7 unit. I think we bought 16 more units. Then we refinanced those 16 units and then we bought the 42 units. So it just becomes this kind of like positive snowball effect of you're just recycling your money over and over again. At a certain point, you might not ever, we've talked about this, we might not have to bring new money into acquiring a deal, because as you go, if you're growing, your refinances get bigger and bigger. We're getting ready to refinance a 56 unit. That's going to be a 7-figure refinance. Versus a $250,000 refinance. If you get $1 million, you can go buy a deal with $1 million.
Right.
So it becomes positive with that. Last step here is keep the deal. When should I keep the deal? What's the pro of just, hey, I've got a great property here. It's making cash flow. I get good appreciation. I'm going to just keep it. What's the pro?
For exactly that reason. You know the property, it's running properly. You don't have any like turmoil or anything with like taking over a new property. You're just at that point collecting rents. I mean, we've owned some of our properties for, what did you say, maybe 4 years? Like multifamily.
Yeah, 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. I mean, that one sometimes we're like, oh, I forget we own that, right?
That's that 7 unit.
Right.
Yeah.
So just because, again, we've had it for the longest time, we know what the ins and outs of the property.
Yep.
We're collecting rent. We keep residents. We're also to the point, too, where we don't have to keep forcing the value up, the rents, the utilities.
Yes.
Our business plan is so stabilized.
Yes.
So that's where you get to that point where it's, again, there's always variability and it's not easy, also to the point of like, okay, I have a great business running.
Yeah. It's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. You don't know what the next deal is. Like that 7 unit, we're talking about that one a lot. We know what we're getting. Everyone pays on time. There's really no issues there. We fix all the deferred maintenance. And that's why I really think I want to keep that one to at least 2026. Refinancings, we'll have to, and see what we get out of that. If we get like another 150,000 out of that, you're kind of like, dang, this deal I paid $132,000 to buy has now paid me $400,000 tax free, not including we get the tax benefits every year. We still get depreciation. That's kind of crazy when you say that out loud. The return on investment on that is substantial. This is like the Gary Keller model that we started with when we first started buying real estate. Buy it, put a tenant in it. He talks about single family, get it paid off over 30 years, and then you have all this equity. That's kind of the model there. I would say this is for maybe someone who's not in a massive growth phase. For someone who's maybe like, you know what? I don't want this extravagant lifestyle. If I bought 10 rental properties, paid them all off, and they're making $2,500 each a month, that's a great life. $2,500 in free cash flow a month over 10 rental, that's $25,000.
If they're just using this as like another form of investing,
yes.
and this isn't their main business,
yes.
or they're not trying to rapidly grow their portfolio, correct. You want to stabilize it, hang on to it.
Yep.
And then maybe look at it in the future. But like we just said, you hang on to it and it's stabilized, you kind of have a good thing going. Ben
Mala, major investor, one of the biggest landlords in Florida, he taught me, you look at how much cash flow you're getting out of this deal. Put it over 10 years. Let's say it's $100,000 arbitrarily, right? If I could sell the deal today and I'll walk away with $200,000, he said sell the deal, because then you can take that $200,000 and reinvest it and make more money. So that's kind of like what his litmus test was for selling a deal. But again, it all goes back to you and your goals. And one thing I also want to mention too, there's no cost. When you refinance, there's cost. When you sell, there's cost. There's commission. They're going to ding you for something. It could be a perfect property. No one's going to be like, it's so nice, we're not going to ask for anything. Realistically, what's the cost to sell? 8%?
I would say so.
6% commission, 2% fees, plus any concessions, 8-9%. Like, think about that. That eats away to your profit. Refinancing, there's at least 2 to 3% fees. If you hold it, there are no fees. So that's huge. And again, simplicity. If it's not broke, don't fix it. What's the cons of holding a property? It can become what's called lazy equity, or your return on equity goes down. I'm not going to get into like all the math with this, but you have that equity sitting there. Again, back to that example, you have 200,000 in equity. Can I redeploy that 200,000 and turn it into 400,000? Can I turn that 400,000 into 800,000? It's hard to do that when I'm just stabilized. I'm just getting little incremental growth because I've already forced that massive value to go up. Like, we're not going to take this property, that 7-unit that's worth 1.4 million, now 1.3 million. We're not going to turn it into $2 million property. By next year.
No.
We just kind of have to accept where we're at with it. So it can be a little lazy, right? Your money might not be working as hard for you as it could be. So you have to be okay with that. There's opportunity cost too that you're missing out on. If your money is trapped in a deal, you can't go quickly get it. To sell a deal takes how long? 60, 90 days?
Yeah, about that time.
If the deal of a lifetime comes about, but your money's all trapped in your other properties, you're going to miss out on that. Right. So there's opportunity costs. And if rents aren't rising as much, returns are shrinking.
They are, yeah. Right? So, I mean, that's one thing that you just want to be aware of and think about the longer you hang on to it. But again, that all goes back to what we talk about a lot of, like your plan, why you bought it in the first place.
100%. So I would say it's best to keep a property if the property's cash flowing well. Like our property, it's low maintenance, it's low headaches, they're not bothering you. You kind of forget you own it.
Right.
That's a great position to be in. You forget you own $1 million something asset, right? It's in a great appreciating market, great area. The area is always going to keep going up in value. If you have other sources of capital for your next deal, like what we preach to you guys, don't quit your 9-to-5 job. Don't quit your business to own real estate. Keep making so much money in your business that you're like, I don't even need to refinance this out. If I had so much extra funds at that time, I could have kept all those 4% rates, 3% rates, but we had to get that money out to go buy a bigger deal. It's also great if you want less leverage and more equity for safety. No matter what, when you buy more deals or you refinance deals, your loan balance goes up. So if you just sleep well at night being like, I'm at 30% leverage on all my deals, 20% leverage, hey, good for you. It's like you said, it's whatever's best for you. So here's some key questions to ask yourself that we've utilized throughout the years to help you decide, should I sell? Should I hold or should I refinance? What's your investing goal right now? Are you in growth mode? Are you looking at retirement in a year? Like if you're looking at like a retirement in a year, probably don't sell or refinance.
Yeah, probably not right now.
Do you want more cash flow? Do you want bigger units, right? So look at that. What's the cash flow today versus after a refinance? I think that's really important too.
That is huge. Yeah, because if you're okay with that cash flow potentially going down, depending on like the rates, how much you're taking out, you really have to know that.
100%. And the bank can help you with that, but know that new number and are you okay with with it. Now, some of our deals that we bought, like that 56 unit, we bought it at a 7.5% rates because it was 2023. When I refinance that this year, my rate's coming down. So that's going to be like a good refinance, right? My interest payment's actually going lower.
Down, yeah.
So it works both ways. It might be like, dude, I just want to refinance because I want to get out of it. Our old home in Wixom, remember, bought that deal for 300 grand. It's worth what, like 460, 470 today?
Yeah.
We did a refinance. We didn't pull equity out, but we got rid of the PMI.
Right.
Because when I bought it, I was not married and she didn't give me no money for it. I put 5% down, but I had PMI. What's PMI?
So that's insurance if you're like a new home buyer or your credit, they're not too comfortable with the loan, so they charge you some. Like
It's insurance
like
to the lender, but if you get no insurance, it's bullshit. It's a penalty for putting 5% down or less than 20% down. So we refinanced just to drop off that PMI, which was like $150 a month. Refinance is very advantageous. You save money with it. But if you're going from a 3% to 7%, your payment's going to go up. Can you reinvest these funds? If you sell or refinance, can you reinvest these funds in a better deal? Do you have a better deal lined up? Do you have a real estate professional hunting for you? Are you looking at the market? We've had some people sell who haven't sold in 30 years, and they're so delusional on where the market is at.
Right.
They're so just out of touch. So for them to go try to find a deal, they're like, oh my God, and that's why they ended up not selling.
Right.
How strong is the market where the property is located? Are you in a rapidly appreciating area to where, man, if you sell this, you're losing out on 10, 15, 20% appreciation over the next few years? And what's your personal preference? What's your personal tolerance for debt versus equity? You and I are 34 years old. We own 3 businesses. We are in just growth mode. We have a higher tolerance for debt. I think our portfolio is maybe anywhere from 60% leverage, maybe a little bit less. We're okay with that at 34 years old. Now, when we're 74, we're probably not. We're going to want way more equity and way less debt, just less things to worry about. So what phase of life are you in? Are you in a growth phase? Are you a young professional like we are, building your enterprises, building your investments, and really looking to build a portfolio? Are you in the later years of life? Do you have kids? Do you have kids in college? Things you want to provide for? What is your goals? Personal preference always dictates your investment strategy. So have that discussion. If you're married, man, have that discussion together. Couples who talk about money together, stick together and make these decisions together. Like, I'm not out there just blindly doing these things.
And I think we always have discussed what to do with when we refinance or if we're going to sell, what it's going into next.
100%.
One of our single family homes we sold just to use for like our other business. So that's why I always mention that too. It doesn't have to be, but again, that was because we had a whole picture of our finances.
Yes.
So that we could say, sure, we can be taxed on this event.
Yes.
To grow our money in other areas.
100%. We took it out of real estate to put it in a different venture, one of my businesses. So was this helpful? Should you sell, refinance, or hold? We broke down the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and gave you hopefully some practical tips and assessments so you can decide what's best from you, from not only just real estate broker and agent, but also real estate investors and operators. If you've made it this far in the episode, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a meaningful comment in the comment section. What's your goals right now? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you refinancing? Are you buy and hold and never sell? Let us know. As always, we appreciate you being here. Be sure to hit the thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. If you're looking for a real estate agent and broker in the state of Michigan, StephanGroupRealEstate.com. And what's your Instagram for them to DM you?
So you can go to Andrea Stephan on Instagram.
If you need some one-on-one help and mentorship, maybe you have a couple rental properties and you're unsure. You don't know, should I refinance? Should I sell them? Should I trade up into multifamily? I do offer one-on-one mentorship at times to select clients. Click the link in the description to learn more about it. Fill out the short form. Love to have a conversation about you and your goals and see if I can add value to you. Until next time, thank you so much for being here. We'll talk soon. Thanks.